So welcome, Elaine, back to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. Let's dive straight into our email for today. Daily quote, bit of teaching around that, which will lead us nicely into today's workbook lesson 72 we're on to. So let me share my screen with you. All right. So if you can read that to kick it off.
Every grievance that you hold hides a little more of the light of the world from your eyes until the darkness becomes overwhelming. Everything you forgive restores that light. So ask yourself, who is it that you are really hurting?
Oh, great quote by an Australian author called Donna Goddard. He was asking us to be much more honest than our ego or separate self will like. But it's only this kind of radical honesty that will help you uncover its dark ways and let them go, so that you stop hurting yourself, which is what holding any grievance really amounts to: self-attack and self-harm. No wonder Yeshua calls the ego totally insane. Any thought system that attacks your true self, which is love, and its plan for your and everyone else's salvation or awakening from a nightmare, can only be mad. This is the theme of today's workbook lesson. But before we get into this, I want to just give you a brief overview of this live meditation and discussion. It's a bonus recording which you can listen to. We discussed yesterday's inspirational quote. We talked about Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism and their similarity to Yeshua's teachings in the Course, and the deeper message of the parable of the dying king that I included in yesterday's email. So I don't know if you watched or listened to that, but it's a parable about a king who was dying and he has 4 wives.
Oh, yes, I did see it. Yes, I did see it.
So the 4th wife is not interested and just says, I'm not, because he basically asked the wives to come with him. Says, will you come with me to the afterlife? And the 4th wife, just who he's lavished a lot of care and attention on, and has been his favorite wife, just turns around and says, no way, no. And so the 4th wife symbolizes the body. The body can't go with you to the afterlife because it's form. The body's going to die for certain. And the 3rd wife, he lavished all kinds of gifts on possessions, and I think he was worried. The story was, he was worried that when he died, she would be married to another man, and so that symbolizes possessions. And the possessions of this world will be given away, or they'll go to someone else when you die, and obviously they can't go with you either. 2nd wife was very loyal and helped him with all his affairs, and so he asked her, and she says, no, but I'll sort out your funeral arrangements and make sure all of that's in place. So that represents friends and family, particularly family, who will try and help as they can, but they can't go with you. And then first wife is this really skinny, undernourished wife he hasn't paid any attention to. And she says, yeah, I'll go with you. And that symbolizes the soul, or in our terminology, the spirit that has always been there. But if you live a life that's rooted in materialism, then that is going to be very undernourished, as the parable says. And yet that's actually, it's first because it's primary. And that's the one thing you can't lose. It goes with you into eternity. So that's what the parable is saying, really, is honor the first, make what's really important first and priority while you're alive. Because everything of the ego, it's illusory, will fade away and die and disappoint you. And then we talked about the workbook lesson, yesterday's workbook lesson about grievances, about grandeur versus grandiosity, which is a great section of the text, yesterday's text reading. So the key message of the lesson and text taken together is that only God's or love's plan for our salvation or awakening will work. And the ego's plan, which entails believing in littleness or grandiosity rather than the grandeur of the state of pure formless awareness, is never going to work. It's only acceptance of the grandeur of the state, or the state of pure formless awareness or perfect love, peace and joy as our natural state that can make us happy. Anything else we desire is really a desire for nothing in the form of something, which is an impossible wish, then would inevitably lead to a grievance when your impossible expectation that it can satisfy you isn't met, all of which will make you unhappy and sabotage your salvation, or as we call it, awakening, from this nightmare of disappointed desires and related grievances the ego so eagerly sponsors. Remember that desire is always attended by grievances. The more you desire something, the more likely you are to have grievances because your expectations are not being met. So Yeshua calls these idle wishes, the desires of the ego, cravings, the Buddha called it, and grievances, or aversion, as you call it, which is when your expectations aren't met, and then you hold this aversion reaction. I feel upset. I feel very much less than happy because my expectations haven't been met, and then I blame someone or something else for not meeting them. So giving up the ego's idle wishes and grievances, as Yeshua frames it, calls them in the Course, will inevitably lead you to shift from littleness and victimhood, or grandiosity and pride. Another way of looking at that, grandiosity and pride, to at least a glimpse of the grandeur of our true reality. So whether you're in littleness and victimhood or grandiosity and pride, doesn't really make a difference. The ego system is very much alive and well. So you have to let it go at both ends of that spectrum. And then you have a chance of getting a glimpse of the grandeur of our true reality. This shift will inevitably inspire you to extend the grandeur of this inner state of love, peace, and joy to others, which is your higher purpose based on truly serving others rather than pandering to the ego's ambitions for grandiose achievements and excessive possessions to inflate its self-importance and strengthen its identity. So the Holy Spirit and the ego have different views on what your purpose is. Holy Spirit tells you that it's to extend love, peace, and joy in the world in your own unique way, and will guide you to find that way that matches your interests, your life history, your talents, your abilities, and so on. Ego tells you that your purpose is to inflate itself through grandiosity, So grandiose achievements, excessive possessions, really just going over the top in these things. And then, that is what he terms grandiosity. And that's what many people think is like a big ego. Think Donald Trump, grandiosity, overblown ego. This is, that's a good example of grandiosity at its extreme. And just that it doesn't particularly work. He hasn't been it wasn't a very effective president. Is not really a great example of an expanded human being, and yet has achieved quite a lot on the level of form. But would you want to listen to him? Would you want to live your life according to his guidance? And we can all see with a bit of awareness that there's some wheels off, some delusions going on there. Which, of course, at his age and in his position of his ego being so strong because of his achievements, is very difficult to let go of. Okay, so we then looked at workbook lesson 71. We did a meditation on it. Great, a good session if I recall. So if you want to listen to it, there it is. How to distinguish between grandeur and grandiosity. We didn't cover that. We didn't have a session yesterday, so yeah, catch up on the recordings, and then on the days that you're not doing a live session, and listen to these recordings.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to the live session. Today's workbook lesson, reading from the text. Let's jump into the lesson, shall we? Okay, so we're on lesson 72. Okay, so this one is lesson 72. I want to read that in the original and the alternative kindly.
Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attack on perfect love's plan for awakening.
Yeah, perfect love's plan for my awakening as opposed to God's plan for salvation. And I think that, again, brings it into maybe sharper focus, means that it's more directly applicable to your inner state. It's all about your awakening, salvation. A lot of people are not sure what that means. So perfect love's plan for your awakening from the dream of being a separate self, from being a body, from being doomed to suffer and die. And grievances just condemn you to that. So these lessons on grievances are particularly powerful, I find. And I always, whenever I do these few lessons, it's a good reminder to just look again, because we don't realize just how much we hold grievances. Any slight irritation is just a grievance. So if you got many things that irritate you or annoy you in the day, don't dismiss them. Realize that that is a grievance, and that's an attack on perfect love's plan for your awakening. And by being this vigilant, this is how you will undo it. Okay, so let's go on to number 1. You can read that in the original and the alternative kindly.
Yeah. While we have recognized the ego's plan for salvation is the opposite of God's, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on his plan and deliberate attempt to destroy. While I have recognized that the belief in separation's plan for freedom is the opposite of perfect loves. I have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on its plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. In the attack, God is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the ego, while the ego appears to take on the attributes of God. In the attack, pure formless awareness of perfect love is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the belief in separation, while the belief in separation appears to take on the attributes of perfect love. While I have recognized the belief in separation's plan for freedom is the opposite of perfect love's, I have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on its plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. In the attack, pure formless awareness of perfect love is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the belief in separation, while the belief in separation appears to take on the attributes of perfect love. So it's just saying that we recognize the belief in separation's plan for freedom is the opposite of perfect love's. And we haven't yet emphasized that it is an active attack and is there to deliberately destroy it. So in this attack, pure formless awareness of perfect love is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the belief in separation. And the opposite, with the belief in separation, takes the attributes of perfect love.
Which is crazy. I mean, how does that work? But the ego is insane. So it's going to tell you that its thought system is love and peace and joy, and it's going to bring you happiness. You need to follow it because this is the way. But and your God is to be feared and avoided at all costs. But it's all upside down and backwards. So it's completely the reverse. God should be welcome because that's your only true source of awakening. And the ego is to be let go of because there's no hope within it. It's just a very deluded and depressing thought system. So yeah, we just got to realize the ego's doing. It's totally upside down. It's reversing our perception, and be very vigilant for that. It's easy to fall in if you're not vigilant enough. It's easy to start thinking along its lines, and then you get horribly confused.
Yeah,
it's a false god. You start believing in this version of God shown in this diagram rather than the true one. And this seems to be your salvation, and this seems to be what's going to bring you happiness, when actually it's not at all. It's going to betray you, cause you to suffer, age, and eventually die. That's the truth of the matter. And only the Holy Spirit, which is completely opposite, reminds you of a God that's completely opposite of the concept of a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God. Only that is true. Richard Dawkins in The God Delusion talks about this as the God delusion. But really all he's doing is he's saying this fearful, wrathful, vengeful God of the Old Testament is not true. Well, we accept that. It's not true. But doesn't consider that there may be, a true God, which is a lot deeper than this conception. So, well, let's define God falsely and then seek to disprove it. That's not that hard to do. But doesn't consider that there may be a true God that has really nothing to do with this false self-concept that's experienced in our minds only. So this self-concept of the ego has really no bearing on it. Okay, so let's go back to lesson 72. So happy to move on. The ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. Just read it in the original alternative, just number 1 and 2, and then you can go into the alternative. So read up to here in the original and the alternative.
Right. The ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. The belief in separation's fundamental wish is to replace the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So, in fact, the body is the physical embodiment. Oh, yeah, you want me to read number 2 as well. In fact, the ego is the physical embodiment of that wish. In fact, the body is the physical embodiment of that wish, yeah.
So I just changed it to the ego. You can see what he's meaning. The ego's created the body, that then is the physical embodiment, but I think it's more accurate to say the body is the physical embodiment of that wish by the mind, by the ego mind, to be a separate self. And that's the purpose of the body from the ego's perspective, is to give form to the desire to be separate. And it does it very well, doesn't it? You know, if you were going to be a separate self, then inventing a body would be completely logical. To invent a physical form that now seemingly gives, form to this belief in separation, which is exactly what we've done, what the ego's done. And then we forget to question it. We don't consider, well, maybe this body is all just false. Maybe it's an illusion. We think that the body in the world is then the truth. So reality in our mind has been completely turned upside down. All right. So carry on. What is that wish? So let's read this in the alternative. What is that wish?
For it is that wish that seems to surround the mind with the body, keeping it separate, alone, and unable to reach other minds except through the body that has made to imprison it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication, yet my separate self wants me to believe that it is. On the top, the belief in separation's fundamental wish to replace pure formless awareness of perfect love. In fact, the body is the physical embodiment of that wish. For it is that wish that seems to surround the mind with a body, keeping it separate, alone, and unable to reach other minds except through the body that was made to imprison it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication, yet separate self wants me to believe that it is.
Yeah, so what's he saying here in summary?
Well, our separate self wishes to replace pure formless awareness of perfect love. And this physical body is an embodiment of that wish. That wish surrounds the mind with a body, keeping it separate and alone and unable to reach other minds. So it's actually been imprisoned by it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication. So it's just, we can't communicate in this form. But this form, separate self, wants to believe that this is the case.
Yeah. So I think this explains very well why we seemingly have bodies. The idea that the body just sort of randomly, spontaneously came about because of a whole lot of physical processes doesn't really pass muster. I think, if you're honest about it, you're like, well, surely there's some intention behind all this. a lot of people mistake that intention for God and say, well, that, that intention is God, but actually it's the universal mind, or the ego, or consciousness, or the belief in separation, or Satan, whatever you want to call it, that has split off from our true awareness, and now believes that it is separate, and to give form to that separation, it has to create a world of form where there are various forms, trillions, literally trillions and trillions of different forms that seem to give form to the idea of separation. Now that starts to make sense, doesn't it? If you look at the world and how it is, and you look at this explanation of it, okay, well, actually there's just a false belief in separation going on. It starts to stack up and make sense, and that's why the course is true, because it actually does make sense, and it makes sense of otherwise what is a crazy world. It's because it's just saying that, yeah, the whole thing is insane. None of it makes any sense. So the only answer is to let it go and return your mind back to its original state of pure formless awareness. And the limits on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication. We need to let go of all the limits, and the separate self wanting us to believe in these limits in order to free our minds. Okay, happy to move on to number 3, Elaine.
Yes.
Just read it in the alternative. God's plan will become perfect love's plan. Salvation will become awakening. Those are the 2 major translations.
Although the attempt to keep the limitations that a body imposes is obvious here, it is perhaps not so apparent why holding grievances is an attack on perfect love's plan for awakening. But let me consider the kinds of things I am apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? The person says something I do not like. He does something that displeases me. She betrays her hostile thoughts in her behavior.
Just make that genderless. They betray. Okay, so what's summary of that? What's being said there?
Well, the attempt to hold limitations on the body is obvious here. So while holding a grievance is an attack on perfect love's awakening, but we need to consider what kinds of things we are apt at holding these grievances, and they're giving examples here. Are they always associated with somebody's body, what somebody else's body does, or something that they've said or don't like or displeases you? And they betray their hostile thoughts in their behavior. So these are the things, examples of what we hold grievances for.
Yeah, and he's asking us to say, isn't it? It's always related to what a body does. Someone has said or done something in and through the body, and then you judge that as real, and then you react to it. But actually, it's just character. The body and the personal identity that operates the body in most people is not real. So it's like a puppet show. That's just these figures dancing away in the puppet show, often behaving insanely. And our job as miracle workers is just to see it correctly, that the puppet show isn't real. And even if they betray their hostile thoughts and their behavior, Well, that's just a projection of their own guilt. Not really real. It's just the falsity projected out onto you, and you have the choice to accept it or not. So as he says, go on to number 4. You're not dealing here with what the person is. Not dealing here with what the person is. Let's read an alternative.
I am not dealing here with what the person is. On the contrary, I am exclusively concerned with what they do in a body. I am doing more than failing to help in freeing them from the body's limitations. I am actively trying to hold them to it by confusing it with them and judging them as one. Herein is pure formless awareness of perfect love attacked. For if its extension is only a body, so it must be as well. A source, wholly unlike its extension, is inconceivable.
Yes, what's he saying on this?
So we're not dealing with what the person is. We're, on the contrary, we are exclusively concerned with what the body does. So this is failing to help free us from these body limitations. So we're actively trying to hold them to it. So by confusing it with them and judging them as one. So this is an attack on our true perfect love. So it's the opposite. A source wholly unlike its extension is inconceivable.
So the source and its extension must be the same. So the same qualities. So if we think that we're a body, then we think that God must be a body too. Which is quite common in most formal religions. God's depicted with a body, being some old man in the sky. On the Sistine Chapel, most famously, the picture of God touching Adam. And so we tend to then think of God as some kind of being in the sky, which has form, which has a body. And of course, that's completely not the case. If it's formless, pure formless awareness, there is no form, there is no body. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the body whatsoever. It's completely in another reality, completely transcendent, which means that you can't grasp it with the physical senses, with any concept of the body. You can only understand it when you go into pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, so he continues with the logic in number 5. God is a body, and God will be pure formless awareness of perfect love, or just perfect love. So if you can read number 5 in the alternative.
Yeah. If pure formless awareness of perfect love is a body, what must its plan for freedom be? What could it be but death? In trying to present itself as the author of life rather than death, it is a liar and a deceiver, full of false promises and offering illusions in place of truth. The body's apparent reality makes the view of perfect love quite convincing. In fact, if the body were real, it would be difficult indeed to escape this conclusion. And every grievance that I hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what other people are. It reinforces my belief that they are bodies, and condemns them for it. And it asserts that their freedom must be death, rejecting this attack onto pure formless awareness of perfect love and holding it responsible for it.
Okay, but to consider that, so what's he saying in summary?
So if they're saying that this pure formless awareness is a body, so where is the plan for freedom? Where is it? What could it be but death? So it's trying to present itself as the author of life rather than death. But they're saying it's a deceiver, full of false promises, offering illusions in place of truth. So it's the body's apparent reality makes the view of perfect love quite convincing. Yeah. And they're saying if the body were real, it would be difficult to escape this conclusion. So every grievance that we hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what other people are. Yeah. It reinforces our belief in bodies and condemns them. And it's inserting that freedom must be death, projecting that the attack onto pure formless awareness and holding it responsible for it. So, yeah.
All very twisted, but he's he's highlighting how the ego works. So the grievance makes the body real in your perception. That's what it's always designed to do. I think once you understand that, then you kind of start wising up to the ego's game. Okay, so in order to believe I'm a body, the ego must create grievances continuously and then tempt me to believe in them. Because then I'm separate, I'm a body, I can be hurt, attacked, suffer, die. Of course, the more that I do that, the more that I follow the ego script, the more this seems to be real. It reinforces my belief that they are bodies and condemns them for it. So you notice if you're angry with anyone, then the focus is on the body. It's not on their spirit or anything that's transcendent of the body. It's like, no, you did this. You said or did this as a body, as a personality attached to the body. And now the ego tells you you're entitled to condemn them. You can judge them, you can condemn them, you can project your guilt onto them so that they are the ones to blame, take the fall rather than you. That's what projection is. But of course, that doesn't work to get rid of the underlying guilt and fear. The only thing that's going to get rid of the guilt and the sin and the fear and the attack is denying that the separation happened. Because if the separation never happened, then there can be no guilt or sin. Okay, that's happy to move on, Elaine?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the straight alternative, number 6.
To this carefully prepared arena where angry animals seek for prey and mercy cannot enter, the belief in separation comes to save me. Pure formless awareness of perfect love made me a body. Very well. Let me accept this and be glad. As a body, do not let myself be deprived of what the body offers. Take the little I can get. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gave me nothing. The body is my only saviour. It is the death of perfect love and my freedom. So it's just saying that it's all been cleverly prepared. For the belief in separation.
It's a setup. We've been set up to believe this by the ego. You just quite a this reference is a reference to the games in ancient Rome. So he knows history, doesn't he? So this carefully prepared arena where angry animals seek for prey and mercy cannot enter. That's what happened in the games that they used to have during Roman times. They had angry animals in this carefully prepared arena. So he's making a historical reference there. It's like you're in this you're in the amphitheater now, being hunted by these angry animals seeking for prey, and there's no mercy. And that's what the ego set us up to be in. And the belief in separation says, no, I'll save you from this, because I'll seek for some kind of salvation in the body. I'll seek for satisfaction, for pleasure, any kind of gratification in and through the body. And there's many ways we do that. Seek for physical pleasure, whether that's food, drink, sex, and so on. And the ego tells us that's going to work. We seek for possessions to adorn the body with. So, buying lots of clothes, jewelry, cosmetics, and so on to make the body seemingly a better body. We use substances to try and give the body pleasure, and on it goes. I mean, saying none of that's going to work because the body isn't your identity. But the ego tells you, well, take the little you can get. If there's pleasure to be had with the body, then take it, because what else can you expect? And so you become very grasping, quite hedonistic, pleasure seeker, and all that's designed to keep you far away from perfect love. Okay, so you okay with number 6?
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on then to number 7.
This is the universal belief of the world I see. Some hate the body and try to hurt and humiliate it. Others love the body and try to glorify and exalt it. But while the body stands at the center of my self-concept, I am attacking perfect love's plan for awakening and holding my grievances against it and its extension, so that I do not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as a friend. My chosen saviour takes its place instead. It is my friend. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is my enemy. So yeah, we're just getting completely mixed up. So this is a universal belief of the world we see. Some hate the body, some love their body. But the body stands for the center of our self-concept, and attacking perfect love's plan for awakening and holding grievances. We don't hear the voice of truth.
Yeah, many people, if you say, well, you're not a body, they'll think you're a man.
Yeah.
What do you mean a body? I mean, it's obvious. Look, my body. Look, feel it, you can touch it, it hurts. And then they'll say to you things like, well, if I hurt you, tell me you're not a body. You see how the ego works. I okay, well, because apparently the body can suffer, that makes it real. That gives it an identity. As long as that body is the center of my self-concept, I'm attacking perfect love's plan for awakening, holding my grievances against it. That I do not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as friend. And so then the body becomes our chosen savior, which of course is insane. That's a very bad choice because the body will age, the body will get sick, and the body will die, inevitably. All of those things will happen at some point in a human life, won't they?
Yeah.
So how can we choose that as our savior? That's a very bad choice. So Yeshua says the ego is a remarkably poor choice as a guide to salvation.
Mm.
Because it's going to guide you in the opposite direction into really a place of despair. If you think that the body is real and that's your chosen home, as you get older, what happens? You're gonna, the body's aging, the body's degrading, the body's gonna die. It's a very depressing self-concept.
Yeah, it is.
And you had a lesson in that today. You saw your friend who's
Yes,
approaching
yeah.
life.
Yeah, yeah, yesterday.
And that's just a good lesson to go, well, okay, I see, what the body leads to. Inevitably, it's going to die. My body will die. Everybody will die.
Mm-hmm.
And is that my chosen savior? How could I choose that in my right mind?
Mm.
But let me, choose the truth rather than the illusion, and start identifying with my spirit, which is pure formless awareness, and letting go of the body, so that when the body is finally laid aside, it's a relief. There's nothing sad about it. Just go, well, thank goodness, I'm done. I can lay the body aside. I've learned my lessons. I never need to come back into another body, into a world that is really just a setup for grievances. I never need to do that anymore because I've corrected and healed my mind so completely while I'm here in this final lifetime. And that's a choice we can all make. That's the last judgment he taught in the text. The judgment of the ego is worthless, as the body is illusory and part of this useless thought system of the ego, and identifying then fully as who we are, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which has always been there, always will be there. But if you don't identify with it and you identify with the body instead, then it's covered over. So this entire world and all of its circumstances and events and people and places and things was created as a justification for the covering over of our spirit, pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that's all that it's for. Once you understand that, then you have the key to your awakening, don't you? Okay, well, that's all it's for. There's no other purpose to the world than to cover over and deny pure formless awareness of perfect love. But I have the opportunity now to see that and let it go. Thank goodness, I can see that and I can make the right choice to let it go. And when you start doing that, then you're undoing the ego. Okay, so if we go on number 8, happy to move on.
Yep.
So we'll try to stop these senseless attacks on freedom.
I will try today to stop these senseless attacks on freedom. I will try to welcome it instead. My upside-down perception has been ruinous to my peace of mind. I have perceived myself in a body and the truth outside me, locked away from my awareness by the body's limitations. Now I'm going to perceive this differently. So it's just saying today, we're going to try to stop these attacks on freedom and try to welcome welcome it instead. Oh, yeah. So this upside perception that we have is ruinous to our peace of mind. We've always perceived ourselves as a body, and the truth outside of us, locked away from this awareness in the body's limitations. Now we're going to try and turn it around and perceive this differently.
Yeah. So recognizing what the delusion is, recognizing what we've done, we can then turn it around. So, I don't have to believe in this. I have to keep believing in a false identity of a body when clearly it's not going to get me anywhere. Once I understand what the Course is saying, and you can zoom out, as he's asking us to do, and just look at the ego's thought system with relation to the body, then it's clearly insane. And you can then choose from that zoomed out perspective to have no part of it. So, even though I'm apparently in a body, I don't have to believe in the truth of it. I don't have to believe in its reality. Even while I'm in the body, even while I'm still walking around in the body, and I'm eating and drinking and sleeping in a body and washing the body and exercising the body and all of that. I don't have to believe in its reality, because the belief is what makes it real. Okay, so I better go on to number 9. The light of truth is in us.
What, both?
Read that in both. Yeah, it's a bit to translate. So the light will become the awareness of truth and God. And reading in both, emphasizes the shift really between these two interpretations in the original alternative version. So reading in both.
The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside us and is not our concern. To be without a body is to be in a natural state. To recognize, I'm zooming on ahead, not doing it one by one there.
Yeah.
The awareness of, the awareness of truth is in me, where it was placed by pure formless awareness of perfect love. And I'll do the, it is the body that is outside me, and it is not my concern. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. And the same. To recognize the light of truth in us is to recognize ourselves as we are. To be aware of the truth in me is to recognize myself as I really am. To see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on God's plan for salvation and to accept it instead. To perceive myself as separate from the body is to end the attack on perfect love's plan for awakening and to accept it instead. And whatever his plan is accepted, it is accomplished already. And whatever its plan is accepted, it is accomplished already. From the top, the awareness of truth is in me, where it was placed by pure formless awareness of perfect love. It is the body that is outside me and is not my concern. To be without a body is to be in my natural state. To be aware of the truth in me is to recognize myself as I really am. To perceive myself as separate from the body is to end the attack on perfect love's plan for awakening and to accept it instead. And wherever its plan is accepted, it is accomplished already. So it's just saying the awareness of truth is in us, and it was placed by pure formless awareness of perfect love, and that this body is outside of us, and it's not our concern. So to be without the body is to be in a natural state, and to be aware of the truth in us is to recognize ourselves as who we really are. So to see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on the perfect love's plan for awakening. So whenever the plan is accepted, it is accomplished already.
It's only a shift, isn't it, from leaving up a body and just saying, well, I'm not a body. I'm not a body, I'm free. So this teaching is not one that compromises in any way. There's many teachings that say, well, your mind and your body and your spirit, mind, body, spirit, that's a common idea.
Yes.
And all of them have reality, and you need to somehow integrate them and find harmony among them. And this teaching is not saying that at all. It's saying you're not a body. So you're not a body at all. Don't believe you're a body, because if you try and believe you're a body, and then you somehow try and integrate that with the spirit, you've got a fundamental contradiction. Spirit is pure formless awareness, which denies the body, and the body denies the spirit. So you can't integrate them and make them, somehow reconcile in one thought system that's in alignment. There's always going to be a fundamental split in your mind if you believe in the reality of the body and the reality of the spirit. Yeah, it's one or the other. You've got to choose, because they don't align in any way, shape, or form. They, in fact, deny each other. So these attempts by the ego to sort of camouflage this and say, oh, well, you can have body, mind, and spirit. Or I've heard a pastor once in a church saying that the ego is okay as long as it's subservient to God, and God's kind of managing the ego. These kinds of compromise approaches will never work. That's what he's saying. It's only the pure non-dual awareness that says you are not a body. The body is a delusion. You're not a body. You never have been a body. You never will be a body. So you can safely let the body go, even though you seem to still be in a body. The body's not just going to depart. We've jacked ourselves into the body quite thoroughly, born into a body, and our consciousness has been anchored to the body for most of our lives. And yet, we understand from this teaching that that's just part of a setup. This is a construct of the mind that we've believed. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So it's very simple. What I like about this teaching is it's very simple. It's very clear. It's not ambiguous. You're not trying to fudge anything. Go, it's body, mind, and spirit. And although that may seem to make sense, it doesn't really if you really analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
You really look at it. Well, if I'm just spirit, pure formless awareness, how can I be a body as well? Surely if I'm pure formless awareness, there's no need for a body. By definition, pure formless awareness, there's no body in it.
Yeah.
So once you understand it, inherently you see the contradiction very clearly, and then the choice becomes obvious. The fact that you must choose between one or the other becomes obvious, and then the right choice also becomes obvious, because you see the delusion that the body is. And that if you've identified with the body, as we all have, you're just deluded and confused. And the ego's got a hold on your mind, and that hold is just designed to make you suffer and die. And you don't want to do that anymore. Therefore, you just need to change your mind about what you are. You are not a body, as one of the lessons which is repeated quite often. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. All right, so number 10.
Yeah. My goal is, in the longer practice period today, is to become aware that perfect love's plan for awakening has already been accomplished in me. To achieve this goal, I must replace attack with acceptance. As long as I attack it, I cannot understand what perfect love's plan for me is. I am therefore attacking what I do not recognize. Now I'm going to try to let go of all my judgment and ask that perfect love's plan for me is what is freedom? My source? I do not know. Tell me, so that I may understand. In the next paragraph, shall I? Yeah. And then I will wait in quiet for its answer. I have attacked perfect love's plan for awakening without waiting to hear what it is. I have shouted my grievances so loudly that I have not listened to its voice. I have used my grievances to close my eyes and block my ears. So the practice is to become aware of the perfect love's longer practice. This is to be aware that perfect love's plan for awakening has already been accomplished in us. And to achieve this goal, we must replace attack with acceptance. So as long as we're attacking it, we cannot understand what perfect love's plan for us is. So we're going to try and let go of all judgment and ask perfect love's plan for us to, and then he gives us a list of how to. So we're waiting quietly for any answers that it may have for us.
The grievances are so loud, you know. It's what we got to see is that these grievances, the raucous shrieking cause of the ego, that drowns out this still quiet voice, and that's what it's designed to do. The grievances are an attack on our true self, on pure formless awareness of perfect love. When you see how direct and simple this is, yeah, okay, whenever I have a grievance, that state of mind, that pure formless awareness state of pure formless awareness that is heaven, is attacked. It's covered over. There's now some other awareness going on. That pure formless awareness is denied, and my mind is now in another awareness, which doesn't feel very good by comparison. There's no peace in that awareness. You're saying you're using your grievances to just cover over this light, the pure formless awareness that you really are, and that's their purpose. So the world sets you up to have the grievances by the mechanism of projection. You then interpret the projections according to the ego system, and the grievance then seems to be justified. And the whole thing is designed merely to justify the attack on God and the covering over of pure formless awareness by your ego. It's very ingenious, isn't it? It's a very cunning system that is designed just to keep you in prison, keep you away, as far away as possible from pure formless awareness of perfect love, and identified with the body and the world, with all of its desires and expectations and inevitable grievances. And you'll never find your way home if you continue believing in that thought system. So here he's zooming out and really asking us to look at it from this higher perspective and see what it does, see how the ego works, so that we can let it go. Okay, number 11.
Now, in the alternative, Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I would see and hear and learn. What is freedom? My source. Ask and you will be answered. Seek and you will find. I am no longer asking the belief in separation what freedom is and where to find it. I am asking it of truth. Be certain then that the answer will be true because of what I ask. And then it says, what is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. It will answer. Be determined to hear.
Well, okay. So what's he saying in this one?
Well, we're now at the stage where we hear and learn, and we ask the source, what is freedom? And if we're quiet, it will be answered. Seek and you will find. We're no longer going to ask this question to the belief in separation, what freedom is, because we're never going to find it. So we're asking for the truth by the pure formless awareness. So we will be certain that the answer will be true because of what we're going to ask. And then it gives a selection of things that we're going to ask. And we are going to be determined to hear. So it's just
So very cleverly through questioning, we can come into an awareness of the truth. Okay, so what is freedom? And then we ask, and then we wait for an answer. What is freedom? And if you can find experientially what that freedom is. Freedom is a state of mind without illusions. It's peace, being called the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. So beyond your rational understanding, beyond the body, beyond the thought system of this world, and you can experience that, then you're experientially learning what freedom is. And he's saying it will answer, even if you get just a glimmer of that freedom, just being quiet for a few moments and being in that stillness and that peace is the answer, even if it's only for a few moments. It's called the holy instant. Just in that moment, when you go into that awareness, you're free. Aren't you?
yeah.
So it will answer, and I'm determined to hear. Okay, and then number 12. What is freedom?
Whenever I feel my confidence wane and my hope of success flicker and fade, I will repeat my question and my request, remembering that I am asking of the infinite source of infinite, who extends me like itself. So, what is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. You will answer. Be determined to hear. It will answer. Be determined to hear. I am determined to hear.
So these are just exercises in really setting an intention, saying, I want to find freedom. I'm determined to find a different answer from the egos. And through that determination, we open our minds to experiencing something different in the practice periods. And inevitably, if you ask in this way, you will be answered. Answers start to come, and you do start to awaken, because the ego simply isn't true. Okay. And just to wrap it up in the this is the last one. Well, we can do a little meditation if you like.
Yeah.
We can go into, there's 3 paragraphs of text, so it's not that long. Maybe we can finish that and do a meditation. How are you feeling?
I'd like to just do the meditation, please. Can John not come in and do the 3? Would you message him?
He hasn't showed up yet, so I don't know. Maybe
You never know.
he's not joining us. He has been known to join at Hopper's 10, though.
Oh, well,
It's
right.
happened.
So we can put it out there.
Yeah, well, if he joins, he joins. So he's already had an hour and a half today, so maybe that's enough for him.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do
Yeah,
a
no,
one-on-one.
I could fancy a meditation, actually. If that's
Okay, so just read number 13,
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
guide you through a 20-minute med to close the session.
Yeah, right. So 1, who perhaps 2 shorter practice periods, an hour, will be enough for today. Since they will be somewhat longer than usual, these exercises should begin with this. Holding grievances is an attack on perfect love's plan for awakening. Let me accept it instead. Oops, sorry, just got an interruption there. Let me accept it instead. What is freedom, my source? Then wait a minute or so in silence, preferably with your eyes closed, and listen for its answer. So it's just saying, a couple of short practice periods, an hour will be enough. And you begin by holding the grievances in an attack on perfect love's plan for awakening you. And let us accept it instead, and then ask questions. What is freedom? We ask the source, what is freedom? And then we wait.
You see the methodology. He's just asking us to have some quiet in amongst the day. It's minutes, an hour, just to go, okay, so let me use the lesson to just interrupt the default pattern of the ego and all the busyness and all the thoughts and all the grievances, and just interrupt it by asking this simple question. So first, making a statement, holding grievances an attack on perfect love's plan for awakening is a statement of truth. So let me accept this truth instead. And then simply asking, what is freedom? What is freedom? And when you ask and you listen, then inevitably you're answered, and that answer is experiential. It doesn't necessarily come as a voice saying freedom is this, and then go into a whole lecture. It simply gives us an experience of freedom.
Yeah,
freedom lies in a deep peace, in sense of being beyond this world. Quietness, peace. And no worries in that state. There's no problems, there's no worries. And you can get a glimpse of that state in these practice periods, then that one moment of that can awaken you.
Yeah.
You do it every hour, it's giving you a chance to have these holy instants and moments of satori, of awakening, multiple times in the day. You just never know when the one might be that's just like, wow, I really got that.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more you give yourself the opportunity, the more likely that is to happen.
Yeah.
And once that's happened, then you start not to doubt anymore. If you experience freedom personally, How do
Carl
you,
Jung.
how can you doubt it anymore? You're like, I've experienced it. I know what it feels like. And I know that that's possible, no matter what the ego may tell me in future. I
Yeah,
know because I've experienced it that that is possible. So I can
like
never believe in the ego's thought system again because I know that there's something else and I've experienced that.
yeah, like Carl Jung
Uh,
and yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, and Elaine, don't exclude yourself. You've
yeah.
experienced peace,
Oh,
you've
I have.
experienced
Yes,
happiness. And so
absolutely.
that,
Yes.
that's there's something else
Oh,
other than the
yes. No,
ego.
I do know that.
No,
Yeah, yeah. No,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
Of course, the more
True.
you open yourself to the experience, if you're doing it hourly, as he suggests,
Right.
the more
Yes.
the more rapidly you progress. Because like, okay, well, I'm
True.
giving
True.
myself in every hour. There's say 15 opportunities in the day if I'm awake for 15 hours. 15 opportunities to really experience this freedom and peace, and that's what the short practice periods are designed to do. So you have multiple opportunities to experience that, because the more you experience it, the more your learnings accelerate, the more you save time. Because the
Mhm.
experience is what teaches you ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't an exercise in theory, although there is theory. There's the
Pointers.
theoretical
Yeah.
metaphysics of the text. But the
Yeah.
workbook is to make it practical so that you actually experience what the theory points to for yourself. And then you are in no doubt, once you've experienced it, that what he's describing is actually real.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's how you learn this course. A theoretical learning only. I've seen people who try and do that, and they never really get it.
Mm.
It's all theory, and it never really drops into their own experience. And then they just, kind of feel a bit aimless and disconnected from the course's message because they're like, well, I'm just not getting it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
often they lose interest and they'll, move off and go to another teaching.
Mm.
And maybe it's just because they didn't practice diligently enough. There's very few people who do the course as he suggested, the
Mm.
lessons, which is okay. You're going to do the longer practice periods. Okay, maybe there are people who do that, but you've got to do the shorter ones as well to really practice the lessons.
Yeah.
Daily, hourly, and so those shorter ones can make a huge difference because they keep this thread going through the day. From the early meditation, you meditate on this for say 15 or 20 minutes, and then it guides you through and it keeps you connected to that state, that experience that you maybe entered quite deeply in the longer period, and it keeps you connected as a thread running through the day. This thread of true awareness. And then you join that thread all the way through the day, running through all your experiences, and you join it up at the end of the day with another longer practice period. So you can see the methodology. It's quite well thought out. So he's trying to give us a system to really counter the ego, which he knows is very pervasive. And you're going to need a system like this that's asks you to be pretty vigilant, pretty diligent in order to undo this default thought system of the ego. Okay. So any other questions or comments on this one? It's a good
No, no.
lesson. It's very
Yeah.
simple
Good lesson.
and
Yeah.
very
Good.
profound, isn't
Good.
it? So we're just saying,
Very profound. Yeah.
holding grievances
Yeah.
is
We.
attacking the plan for my awakening. I'm really attacking myself. I'm blocking my own awakening and my own highest good. Once I understand that, it's very straightforward. I've got to drop my grievances. There's no purpose in holding them onto them.
No.
It's only in a deluded mind based on a false thought system that they make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shall we jump into a meditation, a
Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
practice
That'd be
of
good.
this?
Yeah. That'd
Close
be
the
good.
session. It's about 22, so we'll do that for 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, to end the session. And the text I'll send you after this so you can read it. It's just 3 paragraphs.
Yeah,
read it on you.
yeah.
All
Maybe.
right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Elaine. So I probably won't see you on the other side. But yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to join tomorrow or
Was it not sure again? I'm just because I'm going to be leaving this place tomorrow. I don't
Hmm.
know. Oh no, I'm at my sister's tomorrow. Oh yeah,
So you'll be busy probably.
probably yes. I mean, I may. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know where I'm going to be actually. Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
homeless. I'm homeless for a day.
Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna run I was planning to run an afternoon session, so join if you can, but otherwise
Right.
let's defer it
Yeah,
to Thursday,
probably would be an
Friday.
afternoon because I'm going to be with my sister tomorrow night. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe afternoon, but I don't know where I'll be though, but maybe in the car,
Yeah.
so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can join on Thursday or Friday. It's up to you.
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Right.
Okay. Well, I'll
Okay.
run an afternoon tomorrow. So one
Yeah,
o'clock if you could join then do, otherwise
either
in the
Thursday or Friday. Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So
Yeah,
let's go for the meditation then. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting in your favorite meditation posture. Your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in through the nose, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching your sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Drawing the energy up the spine to your heart center. Drawing it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So I'd say maximal inhale breath. Scan your mind. Noticing thoughts, emotions, related body sensations, any grievances really. Is anything where you're holding on to any negative thought or emotion as a grievance. Grievance can be a minor irritation, a little bit of frustration, ranging to intense rage. But those minor irritations are just a symptom of the intense rage that's buried underneath. So be aware of them. You breathe in, as you're breathing in some light. And your goal is to become aware that perfect love's plan for awakening has already been accomplished in you. Achieve this goal, you must accept. Thus replace attack with acceptance of the truth. As long as I attack it, as long as I attack it, I cannot understand what perfect love's plan for me is. And breathe in. Breathe in the pure formless awareness, perfect love. So I'm therefore attacking what I do not recognize. Now I'm going to try to let go of all judgment and ask what perfect love's plan for me is. So breathing in again, say, what is freedom, my source? What is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. And then wait in quiet for its answer. And find the quietness and the stillness in which you find love's answer. You've attacked perfect love's plan for awakening without waiting to hear what it is. You've shouted your grievances so loudly, says Yesha. You've not listened to its voice. You've used your grievances to close your eyes and block your ears. Now it's time to reverse that process. So breathe the light in. You can imagine, if it's helpful, that a golden or white light is flowing into every pore and every cell, and every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And sink inwards. Exhale out. Drop the grievances. Imagine they're like dark clouds of black smoke, leaving you. Blow them away with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness they really are. Grievances are like dark clouds being blown away to reveal once again the blue sky. The blue sky of your true awareness that is beyond all grievances. Sitting quiet for the answer of perfect love in the state. Do that by just nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Say to yourself, now I want to see, hear, and learn. What is freedom, my source? I will ask and be answered. Say that as an affirmation. I will ask and I will be answered. Seek and I will find. Say to yourself, I'm no longer asking. My belief in separation. What freedom is and where to find it. I want to ask what freedom is because it doesn't know. And rather, I'm asking it of truth. I'm asking the truth. So be certain then that the answer will be true because of what you ask. We then say, what is freedom? My source. I do not know. Tell me so I may. What is freedom, my source? Ask and answer that question. I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. And then say it will answer. Say I'm determined to hear. And you sink inwards and just be quiet, still, and listen. I'm determined to hear. So sinking inwards, observe the breath, and with each breath go deeper and deeper into the still, calm, quiet, peaceful silence. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. So just breathe, relax, be still, and sink inwards to the truth. Listen to the answer. Be determined to hear for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. If you feel your confidence wane, your hope of success flicker and fade, distractions come in, other thoughts, so just remind yourself that you're asking of the infinite source of infinity, which extends you like itself. And these questions again: what is freedom, my source? I do not know. What is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. And sink inwards to the freedom within. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to experience. Just allow this experience of freedom, which is inner peace, maybe sense of joy comes into it. It's deeply peaceful. Just allow yourself to go into that state and experience that state and that state alone. For the next couple of minutes of deep, free silence. So just gently coming back in this deep connected state. Awareness into an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind again. Notice any grievances seemingly there. Yes, anyone or anything, could be the weather. Breathe into that grievance, wherever you feeling it in your body, maybe in your heart, stomach. And just deep breath in. And remind yourself that ask yourself, what is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. So exhale and just exhale, let it go. Find yourself not holding grievances and attack on God's plan for salvation, or specifically God's plan for my awakening. Let me accept it instead and ask, what is freedom? Say, what is freedom? My source. Bottom of the exhale, pause for a few moments and just notice that freedom. What is freedom? My source. You want to open your mind to it. Open your mind, open your heart. Feel that freedom, experience it fully for a moment or two. On the count of 2, breathe in, just notice air flowing into your nostrils, chest and the stomach expand, clenching a sphincter muscle, locking the energy in, smiling. Just noticing what you're feeling and touching with your body, your hands. Notice what you're tasting and smelling as you breathe in. Notice what you're hearing. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, free perspective, free of judgment, interpretations, just clean, clear awareness. Sense perceptions in them arise and subside in that clean, clear awareness. without you attaching to them, without judgments happening. This is how you maintain your freedom through the experiences of the world. So just connect to this freedom one more time. Ask yourself, what is freedom, my source? I do not know. Tell me so that I may understand. And breathe it in one more time. Anchor the state in of inner freedom. Set the intention to stay in this state for the rest of the evening, on into tomorrow. So it is said, so it is done. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around. Noticing the room around you, various objects in the room in this very calm, detached way. Let your eyes rest for a few seconds on whatever they happen to rest on. Notice this inner freedom is really undisturbed. It's still the same. Look at something else. Notice the same freedom. And close your eyes as you look at it. And open your eyes. Then look around again. Look at something else. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. And you notice that the freedom is undisturbed. It's always the same. There's no variation, no degrees in it. So you're training your mind into this higher awareness to stay in stillness, connected to your source, and that seems to happen on level 4. So it is. So it is said, so it is done. So anchor the state one more time. So what is freedom, my source? I do not know, but tell me, so that I may understand. With that invitation, go on with your evening to hopefully an early bed. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the session. Thank you, Elaine, joining, and namaste.
Oh, namaste. Good night.
Maybe see you tomorrow, otherwise Thursday.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's it.
Keep well.
Good night. Namaste.
All right, so that's a wrap for today. Just thank you to Elaine for joining, making the session possible. You enjoyed this live session, then why not subscribe to the channel so you're notified whenever I go live. You can also go to our website, which is lifebuild.com, lifebuild.com, to find out more about this program and how you can join it and get the daily quote that I shared up front, and mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles, and a short breath break or mini meditation to help you practice that, sent to your Telegram, which is an app I use for messaging every day. So you just need to go and sign up with your mobile phone, use for Telegram, and you'll get that every day. So check it out at lifebuild.com, lifebuild.com. So thanks for watching and listening. I hope to catch you on Inside soon, and wishing you a very peaceful, free day in the meantime. Namaste. Which means my free self acknowledges and honors your free self. Wishing you much love, peace, and freedom.